Hello, I'm Jessica Ann, and today I'm talking to you about the Reading Detective Program, which is aimed at Year 9 students who are beginning Year 9, who are not yet de demonstrating secure reading strategies, secure higher level reading strategies that go a bit beyond comprehension into really helping them to critically evaluate and to analyze and to perceive and interpret meaning in a critical way. So most learners are struggling to achieve their full potential at GCSE, to achieve the grade 7 to 9 in English, because it's all about critical evaluation, analysis, and academic writing. So there are three levels to it: the ability to read and develop personal response, to be able to read critically and understand how writers create and achieve effects and impact the reader, and to be able to read those subtle nuances, develop note-making strategies that allow them to synthesize and organize and transfer ideas across different domains, and to be able to express those interpretations in academic register. What I see time and time again is parents coming with learners at year 11. I've got a couple of year 11s now, or quite a few year 11s, who came to me in January, December, January time. And the reason they came in January was because they had just received disappointing mock results for their mock exams in the first half term of year 11. The pattern that I'm seeing is schools are not being honest earlier on about the deficit or where the child is actually at for many reasons. And this, unfortunately, puts a lot of pressure on year 11 students who do want to excel, but leave it too late. It's too late to fulfill your highest potential in GCSE English and beyond, because it's not just about the exam. English language and literature and the skills that we develop, these higher order critical thinking skills, are skills that we actually use across our lifetime. They are about communication, they're about emotional intelligence, they are about influence, and so this is why I've come back into the realm of education, because it's my true calling. And it's my truest genius to be able to move learners into secure, into empowerment, into being self-led as a learner, to develop those higher order thinking skills, to develop the critical literacy skills that they need to succeed. And so grade 7 to 9 requires learners to have very high level and advanced reading skills. Now, being a teacher in inner city London early in my career and for over 10 years, I obviously realized very early on that I needed to be able to teach explicitly the thinking strategies and the reading strategies. And it was only when I had to learn maths. I'd avoided it for so many years until I did my PGCE, my teaching qualification, and I had to get the grade, had to get the GCSE. Um, that I finally, in all those years, I didn't think I could ever do it. I didn't think I could do maths. I thought it was crap, blah, 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 blah. And I got a tutor. And this guy was the most amazing teacher I've ever known. And he gave me strategies. And he was like, "Oh, prime numbers, you do, and that's it." And I was like, "Oh, there's steps to this. I can memorize those steps. I can transfer those thinking skills." And I started to love maths, and I passed my exam for the first time in maths. So what that taught me when I came to teach English, and what I saw across schools, was that there wasn't a lot of You'd ask a teacher, "How do you teach inference?" And they would say, "Go back to the text." And I'm like, "Yeah, but what are the thinking steps?" And so I began on my quest to deeply explore, how do we explicitly teach learners to read for meaning? Because there is a difference between word recognition, there's a difference between comprehending and then understanding, deeply understanding, and being able to express what and how the writer is creating that meaning. Being an inner city London teacher, I was working with students who came from backgrounds where where English wasn't a first language, as well as children in high levels of deprivation and poverty. Both of these meant that it wasn't that the child might not be academically able, same as my own story. I came from abject poverty and higher deprivation, but was always put into good educational contexts, which allowed my own innate genius or academic ability to be nurtured and flourish, which allowed me to then succeed in life, which is again a big thing that drives me as an educator. So working with those two groups, I began to hone my craft as a literacy expert. And this stood me in good stead because I not only worked with this demographic, but I also worked with very high income families, billionaires, millionaires, whose children were not from England and had English as a second language, but wanted to go into the British education system, i.e. the private sector, and some of the best private schools in our land. And I trained them. I trained them and I taught them to become highly proficient advanced readers, and to be able to express their interpretations using academic register. So why I'm telling you this is because I am now launching the Reading Detectives program, and this is going to be the first cohort is aimed at year 9 students because I want it to be a transitional bridging year before GCSE. So I want them to love and develop a love of language and reading. I want them to develop a love and instill curiosity and confidence in their ability to be independent readers and to develop the study skills and the note-making strategies that higher order thinkers use to organize, sequence, develop ideas. When a student develops this skill set in English and literacy, you see a ripple effect across other subject areas. So if they're doing history, if they're doing any other subject, geography, even mathematics, because there's a lot of reading and interpretation there as well, you see an improvement across the board. But as I say, one of the biggest things the problem that I'm seeing, and it doesn't matter what background the child is from, I'm noticing students have not got a secure hold on the foundational skills of critical analysis, critical evaluation, and critical literacy skills, the ability to read for meaning. So let me show you something. So at GCSE English, to achieve a 5, pupils must, at this stage, be taught secure comprehension strategies to analyze unseen 19th, 20th, 21st century texts. They need to be able to compare, they need to be able to explore the writer's viewpoints, their perspectives, the language choices. They need to learn core knowledge, so what methods they've used, and they need to have a secure understanding of the skills that allow them to express those ideas and interpret those ideas. They need analytical, critical thinking skills to develop argument and personal response. And this is another thing. Students need to be able to develop argument. The kids that I get grade 9s for are the kids that I have had for a longer period of time. I took a kid from grade 3 at the beginning of year 10, and by the end of year 11, she got a grade 9. And that was because she came every Saturday. She had a 2-hour session. She did work in between, and we worked on the foundational skills. Like, we worked on teaching her to be an independent critical thinker and how to read for meaning and how to read across texts and develop, a broader range of understanding. So, and we taught her how to argue. So they need to have personal responses. They've got to have some ability to connect on a personal level. We have closed books exams. This is about memory and revision. A lot of the programs that I've developed and a lot of the pedagogy, so the teaching practice that I've developed, the Be the Expert methodology, is all about how we organize, sequence, and deliver information to allow our learners to retain information, to retain memory, but also to transfer it and use it across different boards because we understand neuroscience, we understand how the mind works, we understand how we learn, and we take a holistic approach to curriculum design. Um, Pupils doing literature need to have a secure knowledge of the set texts. This means they need to have good note-making strategies, they need to have the research skills, and they need to have a joy of learning. They need to have their curiosity stimulated. We need to be having talk, we need to have conversation and talk for learning to develop and kind of explore the big juicy ideas that are going on. And again, unfortunately, because schools are pressed under pressure, and it doesn't matter. I've been working in the public sector recently, and I've been in the I've been in the private sector, and I've been in the public school system, state school system. All schools are suffering the same thing. A huge curriculum, not enough time, and not enough space for the teachers to develop curriculum that is exciting, that is stimulating, that is creating a spirit of inquiry, that's training kids to think independently and for themselves, to ask big questions, to engage in depth with big ideas. And so the curriculum that I'm designing and the way that I want to work with our students is in cohorts over time, online, in a coherent and effective way. So we're not just cramming, we're not just doing it for the sake of doing it. We are developing a deep passion, curiosity, and excitement for the learning. What I do is create learning cultures for success. So we also need to have secure understanding of the skills and how to transfer them and when to apply different thinking to different tasks. So again, when we come back to neuroscience, we have to understand something called working memory. And so there's only so much we can take in the moment. And in order for our learning to become embedded so that we can then transfer knowledge and use it in more effective ways or in more flexible ways, we need to move it into our long-term memory. Understanding all of these things is why our students do so well, because how we organize, develop, and sequence the curriculum allows our learners to be able to move that knowledge into their into their long-term memory, and to be able to keep revisiting it and working with it in different ways and transferring those knowledge and the ideas in different contexts, because we have the space and the time to do that. And also the expertise. This is a big thing. The big thing here is about the expertise and understanding how learning works. Kids need to also know how to write creatively in time conditions. So I want to bring you to have a look at this. So hang on. Let's see if this I haven't used PowerPoint for so long, but let's have a look. Try it. What's that? Yeah, okay, that worked. So bear with. So critical academic writing skills needed to achieve grade 7 to 9. So I want to show you two sentences explaining an idea. So across all exam papers, whether it's language, literature, or language paper 2, language paper 1, we have AO1, which I've broken down into all of the sub-skills. So when learners come on to work with me, or when they have, when you buy the expert marking service, or whatever it happens to be, we're always tracking their ability to be competent in the specific skills, which again is a massive motivational tool. It helps learners to make progress because when we see what we're doing really well and when we understand the exact thing with laser lucid, clear focus and precision that we need to work on, it reduces time, it reduces overwhelm, and it builds confidence and motivation. So AO1 is assessed in all literature and language, therefore it's vital that pupils are taught how to master those AO1 critical evaluation and argument skills. In the example below, both students have the same ideas. The top one, however, will achieve a grade 7, and I'll show you why, if they are, if the essay was sustained like this across the whole paper. And yet, this one down here, who is saying the exact same thing, would probably get a level 3 because they are not using these specific skill sets. So let's look at a grade 7 Macbeth answer, a very short sentence. During his soliloquy, so we've got subject terminology, subject. So the child has learned the academic register, they've learned the method, they are getting graded, they're getting assessed on the ability to use that type of language. Macbeth agonizes over his indecision, recognizing that he lacks a spur to prick his intent. So what we're seeing here, we've got agonizes, we've got tier 2 vocabulary, we are seeing mini quotes used judiciously, and embedded. We're not seeing clunky, this is proved by the quote and then a big quote and these old methods that teachers used to teach. We need to develop academic register, which is exactly what I do. So we see it's supposed to be there and we're summarizing. So the key to 7 to 9, and what again is a massive, massive problem, is that learners are not being taught to summarize. And it is the foundation, which is the first thing that we do in the Reading Detectives program. You need to know how to summarize. And it is a specific skill set that is broken down into multiple different steps. Anyway, a metaphor. So we have subject terminology, a method that the writer uses to foreshadow subject terminology, again, a structural device, understanding of the structural device, the very weapon he later uses to commit regicide, top tier vocab. But then we've got a kid down here who said exactly the same thing in Macbeth's speech. Soliloquy and speeches are the same thing, but it's not subject terminology. He is feeling unhappy about the fact he can't decide whether to kill Duncan or not. He is not using high-level vocab. He is not summarizing using mini-embedded quotation to support his inference or his explicit understanding. This is proved by the quote. And the worst thing I see is I know this because this is something that they teach in schools when they think that kids are not capable of learning academic register, and it will not serve them. It will not serve them in the exam, and it won't serve them in life. I have no spur to prick the sides of my intent. So big long quote. Okay, AO1, selected relevant quotation, but not summarizing, not embedding, and not choosing judicious little quotes to reinforce meaning and to express and understand the academic meaning. So the spur he wants is like a dagger he will later use to kill the king. So it's very narrative. So again, when kids come into, whether I'm doing the Macbeth boot camps, whether I'm working with them on their GCSE, or if we're targeting them early, which is exactly what I'm all about, which is why I'm launching the Reading Detectives program, and there'll be other things coming soon, is because it's all about getting them early and sorting out the problems and solving those problems and giving them the best chance to fulfill their potential earlier on, rather than rushing and trying to fix something in a very short-sighted way. So let's come out, stop the share. So yeah, I guess this video is just to give you some insight into why and how we get to solve the problems that we're facing with students not being able to fulfill their potential, and how we can resolve that by getting your children into my program and meeting them where they are at a lot earlier and giving them the empowerment and the tools to actually fulfill their potential and flourish as learners. If you are interested in the Reading Detectives program and you have a Year 9 learner, I would love to talk to you. I'd like to arrange a Zoom meeting, so please message me. Um, if you have a GCSE student who is doing AQA, language paper 1, language paper 2, or Macbeth, I'd like you to express your interest in the bootcamp sessions that will be happening over Easter. And yeah, so let's connect. Bye.